Inspiration. Every artist wants it, but most of us haven't been within miles of it for as long as we can remember. So the question is, how do we catch this elusive state? What if I told you that it's actually as simple as just turning it on? My name is Seth. I'm an author who writes fantasy books, and I make YouTube videos about being an author. If that's something you're interested in, make sure to click the like button on this video. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next video. Inspiration can be incredibly frustrating. We all want to be inspired. And often, if we're being honest with ourselves, we get really envious when we hear the stories about other people who are inspired and create amazing, great work. But what actually is inspiration? Is it just having this flash of insight and then furiously working to pound out a script? Is it getting to a place in your novel where you're having trouble and then all of a sudden you're in the shower or you're out for a walk or you're exercising and it hits you just like that? Or is it sitting quietly on a porch, looking out over a beautiful view when all of a sudden clarity strikes and the problem that you've been mulling over seems to be so easy to solve? Well, inspiration can be all of these things. And it is all of these things. But because inspiration can be so varied, it's helpful to try to narrow it down and get a good understanding of what it is we're actually dealing with. Psychologists tell us that there are actually three pieces to inspiration. The first is evocation, which means that it happens without intent, right? It's like lightning. It just sort of strikes out of the blue. There 1 second and gone the next. And like lightning, it can't be conjured by any normal means. The conditions have to be right for a lightning bolt to strike. Inspiration also includes transcendence, which is this clarity or an awareness of new possibilities that sort of rises above the mundane. Typically, inspiration doesn't strike when you're concerned with everyday things, but rather it strikes when you're thinking about things outside of the sphere of your normal life. And finally, inspiration actually includes something called approach motivation, which is really just the attempt to communicate or realize whatever is being inspired. Inspiration includes all three of these things. You have evocation, you have transcendence, and you have this approach motivation. What's interesting is that this means that inspiration requires a place it can exist, a trigger for it to exist, and action needs to be taken on it. Otherwise, it's not actually inspiration. Now, anytime we want to understand and acquire a specific characteristic, it's important that we examine the people around us who exhibit this characteristic. After all, if we want to do something, the best way to do it is by modeling it off of someone who is successful. So we want to find people who are successful in their acquisition and use of inspiration. Because you can be inspired, but if you don't take an action, it's not actually inspiration. And in studies done on this, people who have a high level of inspiration, that is, they act on inspiration often, share a couple of different characteristics. First, and probably most importantly, they're open to new experiences. This is really important because inspiration comes from making new connections. It comes from out-of-the-box thinking and putting things together in a way that you've never put them together before. It comes in changing your perspective about the world and seeing the world in a brand new way. Why does this matter? If you're not open to new experiences, then typically that means your brain is locked into familiar patterns that it's going to repeat over and over and over again. If you're the type of person who, when you go out, only orders the same exact thing every single time, chances are inspiration is simply not going to strike for you. If we want to be inspired, it's really important that we open ourselves up to new ideas and new experiences. The second trait that most of these people share is that they're motivated to master their craft, but they are not competitive. I found this one really fascinating, actually. But people who are highly competitive typically don't have a lot of inspiration. And part of that is simply a utility thing. If I want to compete at the highest levels, I need to know that what I'm going to do is going to work. And so when you're competing at really, really, really high levels, you take the same actions over and over and over again because those are the most efficient ones. But for somebody who acts on inspiration, taking the same actions over and over again isn't going to create those connections. It's not going to manifest those new ideas that you need in order for inspiration to strike. At the same time, you still have to have a level of craft. In writing, I have to know how to craft sentences and my story well enough that when inspiration strikes, I'm not hampered by the level of my craft. Instead, I want to position myself so that when I am inspired, I can go as far as possible. I can leverage it to the highest degree, which means having mastered my craft already. And then the third characteristic of people who act on inspiration is that they believe in themselves. And I don't mean this in any sort of woo-woo sort of way. No, this is just a concreteness of belief about who you are and what you can do. I'm a full-time author. I write books for a living. That is a fact. I know that to be true. When I sit down to write a new book, I do not think to myself, oh no, am I ever going to be able to complete this book? Because I've already completed a bunch of books. I've already written them, I've published them, people buy them. And I don't mean that as a flex, I just mean to say I have demonstrated both to myself and to the world at large that I am a professional author. What's fascinating about this is that that belief opens up the gates for inspiration to come through more often. Because I believe that I can do what I'm setting out to do, I don't hem and haw. I don't worry about whether or not I'm actually going to be able to achieve it. Instead, I am acting as if it is a foregone conclusion. I will write this book. It will be finished. It may not be the best book in the entire world, but that's okay. I'm going to write a better book every single time. And what that means is that when inspiration comes through, I don't have that self-doubt dragging me back and saying, sure, you're inspired, but are you really inspired? Are you really going to be able to do it? I don't have that voice in my head. Well, some days I have that voice in my head, but we do our best to kick it to the curb. And so these are the three characteristics. People who act on inspiration are open to new experiences. They're masters of their craft, but they are not overly competitive. And finally, they believe in themselves and what they can do. So, does that mean that if you believe in these three things, or if you take these three actions, you will immediately enter a state of inspiration? Well, absolutely not. That's not how it works. But I think the following is true, and I think it holds the key to turning on that tap of inspiration. First, the more you create space in your mind for it to work, the more you demolish the rules of this is how it must be in your mind, the easier it's going to be for your brain to make all sorts of different connections and to initiate that out-of-the-box thinking that inspiration requires. Second, the more adept you are at writing your art, the less drag there's going to be when inspiration strikes. And when inspiration strikes and you act on it well, typically it's going to come back more and more often. You get better and better at finding those pieces of inspiration that are scattered throughout your work because you're getting better at recognizing them and you're not getting hung up on all of the technicalities. And third, the more you work, the more you write, the easier it is going to be to have confidence in yourself and in the quality of your writing. You're going to be stacking up wins, as they say. You're going to be increasing your confidence, and with that increased confidence will come more inspiration. All three of these things build on one another. But none of this is easy. Writing is hard. Writing is a long game, and we play that long game, and we're playing to win. Not against anybody else, but against ourselves, against that piece of us that is trying to drag us backwards, that is trying to say, do you really think you can write this novel? Do you really think you can write this story? Do you really think that people are going to like what you do? We want to banish that voice. We want to crush it under our heel. Like I said, we play the long game. Every single time, we get better and better and better. And as long as you persist, inspiration is going to come. And you want to be ready so that when it comes, you can take it to the very top.